Imagine this. You're in an elevator and it suddenly starts plummeting. What would you do? A terrifying thought, isn't it? Luckily, such scenarios are exceedingly rare. But as with anything in life, it's always better to be prepared. In this video, we're going to walk through some steps that could potentially increase your chances of survival if you ever find yourself in this unlikely, yet frightening, situation. It's important to note, however, that this advice is meant to be educational. It does not by any means replace the expertise of professional rescue teams. We'll discuss what to do when the fall begins, during the fall, at the moment of impact, and after the crash. We'll also share some additional tips that might come in handy. Remember, knowledge is power, and being prepared can make all the difference. Let's dive into the survival strategies if you ever find yourself in such a situation. First and foremost, don't panic. It's easier said than done, right? But maintaining a clear head is crucial. Panic clouds judgment and makes it harder to make the right decisions. So take a deep breath and try to stay as calm as possible. Now you might be wondering, shouldn't I hit the emergency stop button? Well, the reality is that's unlikely to help. In fact, even the elevator's emergency brakes may not be of much use in a free fall. These systems are designed to handle normal operations, not the extreme scenario of a full-on plummet. So what should you do then? Positioning is key. Try to stand as close as possible to a sturdy corner of the elevator. Why a corner, you ask? Well, unlike the center, corners of the elevator car are structurally more robust, providing you with some degree of protection during the fall. Now remember, every situation is unique. These suggestions are based on general principles of physics and human physiology and may not apply to every possible scenario. Also, keep in mind, the likelihood of being in a free-falling elevator is extremely low. Elevators are one of the safest forms of transportation, thanks to stringent safety regulations and regular maintenance. This information is not intended to replace the expertise of professional rescue teams. If you ever find yourself in such a situation, their guidance and assistance will be invaluable. So, to recap, if an elevator begins to fall, don't panic. Stay calm, don't push the elevator stop button, and position yourself in a sturdy corner of the elevator. These actions might increase your chances of surviving an elevator crash. Now let's move on to what to do during the fall. As the elevator continues to fall, your next step is crucial. So what should you do? The answer is simple, yet counterintuitive. Lay flat on the floor of the elevator. You might ask, why should I do that? You see, when the elevator hits the bottom, the force of the impact will be distributed throughout your body, reducing the risk of serious injury. It's similar to the principle behind crumple zones in cars. They are designed to absorb the energy from a collision, spreading it over a larger area, and reducing the force that reaches the occupants. In the same way, laying on the floor of the elevator with your knees slightly bent can help distribute the force of the fall. This position can help prevent injuries that could occur if you were standing or sitting, as the force would be concentrated on a smaller area. But it's not just about the body. Protecting your head and neck is just as important. The head and neck are vulnerable to injuries during a fall, and protecting them can make a significant difference in the outcome. So, how do you protect your head and neck? Use your hands. Cover your head with your hands and arms, tuck in your chin, and try to keep your neck as straight as possible. This position can help protect your head and neck from getting hit by falling debris or from sudden movements. Remember, every situation is different, and these steps are not foolproof. However, understanding the principles behind them can increase your chances of survival. It's also worth noting that elevator accidents are rare, and elevators are designed with multiple safety systems in place to prevent free falls. But being prepared never hurts. But what about the moment of impact? Let's discuss next. The moment of impact can be jarring, but there are ways to prepare for it. Brace yourself, this is the key. If you've been following along, you're now lying flat, knees bent, and your body as close to the elevator floor as possible. But what do you do in the split second when you realize the crash is imminent? This is where your muscles come into play. The human body has an incredible ability to absorb force, and flexing your muscles can help. Think about it. When you're about to lift a heavy object, you naturally tense your muscles to prepare for the weight. The same principle applies here. As the elevator descends, your adrenaline is likely pumping, and your fight or flight response is in full swing. Use that to your advantage. Flex your muscles, especially those in your core and legs, as these large muscle groups can help distribute the force of impact more evenly throughout your body. Remember, the goal here is to absorb some of the shock of the impact. You're not trying to become an immovable object, rather you're trying to become a buffer. By tensing your muscles, you're adding an extra layer of protection that can help lessen the severity of potential injuries. Now, it's important to note that every situation is different, and there's no one-size-fits-all solution. However, this technique of flexing your muscles can be a valuable tool in your survival toolkit. It's a way of taking an active role in your own survival, of doing something, anything, to increase your chances of making it through. But what's next? The elevator has stopped, the dust has settled, and you're still lying on the floor. What do you do now? After the crash, it's essential to assess the situation. We'll discuss that next. The crash has happened. Now what? First, take a moment to gather your senses. Your body might be in shock, so it's important to breathe, focus, and assess the situation. Begin by checking yourself for any injuries. Feel your body from head to toe, looking for any pain or discomfort. If you're able, gently move your limbs to check for any possible fractures or sprains. Next, turn your attention to others in the elevator with you. Ask if they're okay, and if possible, assist them in checking for injuries as well. Remember, everyone's safety is paramount. Now, it's time to call for help. If your phone is within reach and working, dial your country's emergency number. Be clear and concise about your location and situation. If your phone isn't working or you can't reach it, don't panic. Many elevators have an emergency call button or intercom system. Use it to communicate your predicament to building management or emergency services. If you suspect you're injured, it's crucial that you remain still and avoid unnecessary movement. This is particularly important if you think you may have a spinal injury. Any movement could potentially exacerbate the injury and cause further harm. While you're waiting for help to arrive, it's essential to keep calm. Panic can increase your heart rate and breathing, which can make any injuries worse. Take slow, deep breaths and try to keep your mind occupied. Remember, help is on the way. Lastly, try to reassure others if there are any and keep their spirits high. Maintaining a positive attitude can help everyone stay calm and focused. While we hope you never find yourself in this situation, knowing these steps could increase your chances of survival. Before we conclude, here are a few additional tips to remember. Some elevators are equipped with emergency kits. These kits can contain essentials like a flashlight, a blanket, and first aid supplies. If you find yourself in a plummeting elevator, try to locate this kit. It could prove invaluable. Also, if possible, make use of the emergency phone found in most elevators. This direct line to help can expedite your rescue. However, it's important to note that while the steps we've discussed can increase your chances of surviving a falling elevator, they are not guaranteed. There are many variables at play in such an event, and each situation is unique. Remember, the safest approach is to ensure elevators are operated safely at all times. Regular maintenance and adherence to weight limits are key. Stay safe, everyone.